The United States Air Force has conducted more than 5,000 strikes. It has achieved complete air dominance over Iran. It has killed the supreme leader, decapitated the entire military command, and obliterated 300 ballistic missile launchers. And yet, Qatar shut down 20% of the world's LNG supply. Saudi Arabia's largest oil refinery went offline. 3 Amazon data centers in Dubai are on fire. A Kuwaiti fighter jet accidentally shot down 3 American F-15s. Oil hit $114 a barrel. And the one thing Washington needed most from this war, a quick, decisive, economically painless victory, is nowhere in sight. Iran found the crack, and it is widening by the hour. Welcome.
Subscribe right now.
Because in the next several minutes, we're going to map exactly how a nation outgunned on every conventional metric is executing a strategy that is costing the most powerful military in the world more than it ever planned to pay. Let's start with the number that exposes everything. In just the first 2 days of this war, the United States spent $5.6 billion on munitions alone. NPR, https://www.org/2026/03/027322887/Iran-war-oil-gasoline-prices, 5.6 billion. In 48 hours. And Iran's entire defense strategy is built around one cold calculation: make America spend faster than it can sustain. Not militarily, economically, politically, psychologically. Iran's leaders believe that by inflicting casualties and disrupting energy production to drive up oil and gas prices, America's allies or an unsettled public back home will pressure Trump to ease back. The Iranians are banking on basically outstomaching him, exhausting him and his allies to the point where they would accept a diplomatic off-ramp. Wikipedia, https://and wikipedia.org/wiki/economic_impact_the_2026_Iran_war. Outstomaching the United States of America. That is the strategy. Not defeating the most powerful air force in human history. Not winning on the battlefield. Outlasting the American public's willingness to pay for this war at the gas pump, at the grocery store, and in body bags coming home to Dover Air Force Base. Like this video right now. Now, let's break down exactly how Iran is executing this strategy, move by move. Since the outbreak of hostilities, Iran turned its Gulf neighborhood into a central theater of deterrence. Strikes quickly expanded beyond military bases to include civilian and economic infrastructure. Energy facilities, ports, and logistics hubs, critical not only to Gulf economies, but to global markets, became pressure points in an Iranian survival strategy premised on rapidly raising and dispersing the costs of the campaign. PBS, https://www.pbs.org/newshour/world/war- with -Iran delivers -high oil prices and another shock to the global economy. The genius of this approach is its precision. Iran is not trying to destroy everything. It is trying to frighten everything. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz without much effort, simply by making threats that oil tankers did not care to test. Saudi oil refineries and Qatari liquefied natural gas production shut down even without direct Iranian attacks. Bloomberg, https://www.bloomberg.com/news/features/2023-0-3-0-3/Iran-war-oil-price-surge-put -global-economic-recovery-at-risk. Read that again. Qatar shut down 20% of global LNG not because Iran destroyed it, because Iran threatened it. The fear alone was enough to stop the flow. That is strategic leverage worth more than 100 missile strikes. Share this video. This is how modern asymmetric warfare actually works. Let's go deeper. These small operations have had outsized effects while remaining limited enough to decrease the potential for escalation. They scared off many commercial vessels en route to the Strait of Hormuz, achieving a de facto shutdown of the waterway. They also caused some oil and gas producers, including Qatar Energy, to halt production and export operations as a precautionary measure. PBS, https://www pbs.org/news/world-oil-and-gas-rapidly-as-Iran-war-escalates.
Iran is also rationing. Carefully.
Deliberately. The rate of ballistic missile launches declined from the beginning of the war to March 4th, with analysts pointing to a strategy of rationing for a longer war as an explanatory factor alongside depletion of some launcher stores. Al Jazeera, https://aljazeera.com/news/2026/3/8/Iran-war-threatens-oil-prices-rise. Iran is not burning through its arsenal. It is parceling it out. One strike here. One drone there. Just enough to keep oil markets terrified. Just enough to keep Gulf state leaders calling Washington. Just enough to keep the political pressure building inside America without triggering a response so overwhelming it collapses the regime overnight. And then there is the flaw nobody in the Pentagon planned for. The crack inside the coalition itself. U.S. and Israeli forces are currently racing to degrade Iran's missile and drone capabilities faster than they can be replenished, with the hope of staying ahead of the unfavorable cost and attrition curve. PBS, https://www.pbs.org/newshour/world-oil-and-gas-prices-rise-Iran-war-escalates. That phrase, unfavorable cost and attrition curve, is the most important sentence a defense analyst has written about this war. Because it acknowledges something the press conferences don't. The United States is in a race it might not win at the pace it is going. A friendly fire incident occurred on March 2nd when a Kuwaiti F/A-18 shot down 3 American F-15E fighter jets. The 6 crew members survived. CNBC, https://www.cnbc.com/2026/03/Iran-war-affordability-midterm, HTML, a Kuwaiti jet. Shooting down American jets. Inside a coalition that was supposedly the most integrated air defense architecture in the Middle East. That single incident tells you everything about the fog, the pressure, and the operational complexity of fighting a multi-front war across 8 countries simultaneously. Gulf leaders were stunned by Iran's ability to target Saudi oil refineries without any effective defensive capability or meaningful U.S. response in 2019. A subsequent round of drones over Abu Dhabi reinforced the lesson of real vulnerability for which the alliance with the United States could not or would not compensate. KSAT, https://www.ksat.com/news/politics/2026/0 3/0-4/how-texas-voted-in-the primary-election. That wound, that sense of abandonment, never fully healed. And now, despite hosting American bases and absorbing Iranian strikes on their soil, these Gulf states are watching Washington refuse to give them a clear timeline, a clear strategy, or a clear exit. Their populations are shaken. Their economies are bleeding. And their trust in the American security umbrella is being tested in real time. If the storage problem is not solved soon, Gulf producers will run out of storage room and be required to shut their taps, further jeopardizing future supply. Cutting the military campaign short midstream might be the worst outcome of all, leaving behind a wounded but intact Iranian regime with residual missile and nuclear capabilities. Fortune, https://fortune.com/2026/0-3/0-barrel-dow-dash futures-stock-market-today-Iran-war-special-forces-mission. That is the trap. And too early, Iran survives, rearmed with legitimacy and nuclear ambition intact. Stay too long, The economic damage to America and its allies reaches the point where the political cost exceeds any conceivable military gain. Iran identified that trap before the first bomb fell, and it has been hurting Washington toward it ever since. Trump ran on being an at-home president, but is increasingly aggressive abroad. He is still wary of sustained foreign engagement. PBS https://www.pbs.org/newshour/show/march-9-2026-pbs-news-hour-full- That wariness is Iran's greatest weapon. Not its missiles. Not its drones. Not even the Strait of Hormuz. The knowledge that the man ordering the strikes ran his entire campaign on ending wars, not starting them. That his base is already cracking. That midterm elections are 8 months away. That every week this war continues is another week of gas prices, rising costs, and political erosion. Iran is already imposing significant global costs while making it clear that it retains the ability to escalate. After an intercepted drone damaged a Saudi oil refinery, Iran made sure to explain that it had not targeted the refinery, signaling it could do far worse whenever it chose. Bloomberg https://www.bloomberg.com/news/features/2026-0-3-0-3/Iran-war-oil-price-surge-put-global-economic-recovery-at-risk. That is a message. A cold, calculated message. We are holding back. We can do more. The decision is yours. 12 days in. The United States has the most powerful air force in history, conducting the most intense bombing campaign since Iraq. And Iran is still standing, still firing, still threatening, still closing the world's most important energy choke point through fear alone. The crack in America's war machine is not military. It is the gap between what a shock and awe campaign can achieve in 12 days and what it takes to actually break a regime of 90 million people that has been preparing for this war for 45 years. Iran found that crack on day one, and it is not letting go. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the US can close this gap before the political cost becomes unbearable? Subscribe right now for every major update. Share this with someone who needs the full strategic picture. We will see you in the next one.